Hello and welcome to week 5 of OTR Love Team Time Trial Series. My name is Andy and I'm going to take you through the highlights show. This show we've got 10 teams, and I just want to say a big thank you to James and to Paul Nicholls for what you're about to see next. They have saved you from carnage. So have a look. So this is OTR Black, and this is on the course that we are all going to do. This is quite interesting. It's like a roller coaster or a BMX track, one or the other. So what I've done is taken 4 snippets from their race prior to the change to the track. So you notice on the elevation at the bottom it's changed somewhat. So ignoring the fact that pairs on the front with Ben, Kevin, Peter, Tony, Keith and I'm recording, but not great, is it? And again, huge thank you to Paul Nicholls for stepping in at short notice to have a look at it and then to repost a new course for all of us to then follow. I think the worst is when you get to the hill. So that's going to come up in a second. So here we go. So they're going to go around the bend, and then it's a sharp left-hand bend. And this is crazy. Here we go. And then follow it round. It was incredible for OTR Black to do this. And I can imagine the comms was quite colourful as Keith's orange helmet. And then I think the last snippet is right at the end where it's like a BMX track. So luckily you guys didn't need to do this. But what it has meant though is that the track had changed significantly, and OTR Black would have to do the whole thing again. So again, James in his wisdom circumvented that by giving them an average set of points for the riders in their group, effectively in League 1, so that they didn't have to do the race over again. But no, interesting. So again, huge thanks to Paul Nicholls for sorting out the track, and just want to say big shout out to Derek. Hope you're okay. Let us know how things are going. So as usual, the start, let's have a look at the 4 teams. You've got RTR, Australia Koalas, OTR Eureka and OTR Wicked. Now as you can see from RTR, there's a couple of riders that are looking like ghosts at the moment, and the same for Australia Koalas, there's one there. So they have a problem in trying to get back on. And I think Tony Hadji, or Tony Hadj, has something like 400 meters to try and catch up to the guys in front. OTR Eureka, you got Stephen there, with Troy, Brian and Jonah. And OTR Eureka have had lots of problems recently, and I don't think it's any different for this particular race either. They've had a lot of technical issues, a lot of connection problems, and I think all of the teams have had steering issues. We know RTR, there were some edits we had to do, and OTR Ultraviolet, there was a problem with the initial recording. Thanks to Jonathan Bird for doing that, and we will see them later on the 5K splits. But just looking at the teams, how quickly does it take them to get into that pace line? Same as last week. How quickly does it take? I know Gordon's been having again problems with steering, but he's been doing a lot better recently as well, once he made some modifications. And you've got 3R still trying to get into that pace line. Everyone else seems to be okay now. And you got Mikkel on front with JP, DJ, Wayne, Raj and Fred. Fred's just playing catch up at the moment, but he gets onto the back. OTR Blue, you got Adam. Yeah, so Robin, Roger's there, Peter, I'm in that group with Adam and Gordon. And lastly, we've got AESRT and Peddlers. They're going to shoot it out to see who is in top spot by the end of the highlight show. So with AESRT, you have Roman, Arnud, Voldy, Cyril and Jojo. Again, who gets into that pace line? You can see very quickly you got Peddlers straight into that pace line. And on their start times, they're much quicker. So something to think about for the other teams. You got Christoph, Doug, Daniel and John Beams. And Cyril had an initial problem at the start, so he's playing catch up now to try and get back to the group. And you'll see later the hilarious Christoph's turning. He tries to take out the whole team. So for the 5K splits, we're going to do this slightly differently this week, following the tour of North America. There was a show where something was slightly different, so we're going to do that. We'll try that now. I don't think it works, but we'll try it anyway. So back in the pace lines, you've got RTR, and who do we have? So was it Philip in the front? And that's what I was talking about earlier. So Tony had to do something like a 400-meter pull to try and get back, and they're doing 5.2 watts per kilo. I know they're quite light. They got 210 meters to try and catch up, and they do catch up. What is surprising though is they just go straight on and leave the rest of the team. So I still think you need to work on that a little bit more. With Australia Koalas, who's out front? So Craig is out front with Wendy, Michelle, Bryce. Jeff's there as well, isn't he? Yes, Jeff and Dave is there. But again, you've got Craig out front and just pulling away from the rest of the team and opening up those gaps. So you can see you got between 11 meters ahead and 12 meters back. So just need to work on closing those gaps up quite quickly. So for Australia Dingoes, you got Ash, Ben, Peter, Noel and Rick. These guys have quite a few problems. So two of the riders you'll see later on lose the wheel and drop back. So watch out for Dingoes, because it's incredible what they've done, but also having all of the technical problems that they had during this race, they would have been a lot higher up as well. For OTR Blue, I haven't been dropped yet, so I'm doing quite well. I've got a tear in my left hip flexor, so trying to race with two legs is quite sore. And I think at the end of this, I was only on one-legged, so I was racing with one leg, and the same for this week's. So ultraviolet, yes, Jonathan had a massive problem as well. He had a massive technical, and he had to do something like 500 meters pulls to get back to the team. So he's doing 5 watts per kilo, and he does actually get back, as you'll see on the 10k splits. Again, an incredible effort to do that kind of pull. So Jonathan's really strong, one to watch, and he was in his Poco Motion jersey rather than the OTR jerseys. So Jojo's on the front. Arnauda's there as well now. And this is again a really strong team. You had Roman. Roman was on the front earlier, so he's now getting back into that pace line behind the last rider. And I think the issue still exists. How do you handle going to the front, doing a pull, easing back, and then being dropped off the back of the group? So really close. If you look at ASRT, is 7 minutes and 1 second, and Pedalers is 6 minutes and 57. So that getting into that pace line really quickly has significantly helped Pedalers, and let's see if we can keep that going for the rest of the race. But Daniel's in front at the moment with Christoph and John and Doug. So looking at the positions, Pedalers are out front. You've got ASRT and Ultraviolet within 2 seconds of each other, followed by OTR Blue and Mushroom. I think Mushroom would be much quicker if they can get off the line quicker. So something to watch again going forward. Now I think it's consistent. If 3R can get those 600 to 900 watts and get out in front and get that pace line going early, they should be much quicker. RTR now back in that pace line with Tony up front, and as I say, Tony did shoot off when they got back to the group, but they're now back in line. OTR Eureka, we have Eureka, we have lost Jonan. So he's 490 meters now back, so there's only 3 of them at the moment, and again the technicals really haven't helped them later on in the race. Australia koalas all together, which are looking good, but still there's some slight gaps at the moment, just at the front. OTR Wicked, we lost Shane early on, right at the beginning. I don't know if it was a technical, but it looked like it was a technical problem. But we lost Shane right at the beginning, so that's now down to Adrian, Paul, Sean and David. Gordon with his steering. So dingoes. So this is where we lose the 2 guys. So with dingoes you got Rick and Peter. So they've dropped back after losing the wheels. So what we want to see is Noel. And I think that's going to be an interesting event for dingoes. OTR Ultraviolet. You've got Jonathan back in the team, so incredible to see him recover from that 500 meters plus to get back in. You've got Jim, Tony, and Neil, sorry, all looking really good. 3R mushroom, some gaps opening up at the moment. And Fred just pulling that back in now. So that's great to see. Unfortunately, we're starting to lose Gordon here. So let's see what happens to Gordon. I think I get dropped right at the beginning of the hill again with those. Trying to ride one-legged is not fantastic. So Ramon up front with Jojo, Arnaud, Cyril, and I'm there recording for AESRT. And Christoph, this is the funny steering issues that he's had. So he's going from right to left, left to right, and he's got no control on his steering at all. And every now and again, he just takes out one of his teammates. So they've been really good. And what you see later on is that they very carefully avoid him. it's quite funny. But no, he has very little steering. So looking at that again, so AESRT is 13 minutes and 55 with Pedalers 13 minutes and 51. Again, very, very close. Doug going out in front, then John, Christoph and Daniel. And John's still riding injured as well. So let's see if he is able to stay with the team. So looking at that, you've got Mushroom and Ultraviolet have effectively swapped places. So Mushroom's gone up by 2 places and Ultraviolet's gone down by 2. We'll see some changes throughout the course of the race. Now this is where things are going to change, because on the 15-kilometre split, we would normally show you that next, but what we've done is we've speeded up the footage at the base of the climb to 4 times the speed. It's quite funny to see. But the idea is that you get a better view of the entire part of the race that covers the climb that's going to make the change as to who's at the top and who's at the bottom of the team's results for this week. And I'm not sure, I want to get your thoughts as well, but I'm not sure this works when you've got 10 teams that have different capabilities and different performance levels to try and get them all aligned. And what we've tried to do is align them to the 1K marker, the 1K kite. But it is very difficult, and then with all the technical problems and all the recording issues, you get quite a few gaps. So you'll see that in OTR Eureka's footage as well. They're slightly different, and so are Australia Koalas. So Wendy's lost the wheel, and she's now 100 meters back from the main group. Well, part of the main group, the group all look as though they've broken up. So you've got Jeff's in there with with Michelle and Bryce. Now they're kind of together. Dave is effectively on his own. Craig is on his own, and then Wendy she's on her own as well. So we're going to follow Wendy, and what I've had to do is, because Wendy's so far back on the climb, is we'll keep her footage going all the way to the end at that 4 times the speed. And this is why I don't think it works very well when you've got a team time trial and you're trying to manage 10 different teams and the footage for 10 different teams, trying to get them in sync. But it's interesting to watch, and you get to see the whole thing. So again, OTR Eureka are now at the bottom of the climb. Wendy's on just heading up towards the top, and the rest of the teams, so OTR Wicked and RTR, again at the bottom of the climb. And Wicked, we've lost Shane, as we said before, and we've also lost Sean as well. So you've got Paul, David and Adrian now a team of 3, and they'll need to finish. RTR, everyone's together, but you still get to see those gaps. So see the gaps just opening up now at the front. And this is where Wendy's doing 4 times the speed to try and catch up. We've now gone back to normal speed for OTR Eureka, RTR and OTR Wicked for that last kilometre. And they're now roughly aligned, but it's still, I don't know. Have a think about it and put some comments in the chats if you can. That would be really, really good and appreciated. So RTR still together, but again they've got gaps. So I'm not sure they're completely working well together, but let's see how that goes. So you can see the gaps for the first 2 riders at the front, and you think they could be doing a lot better if they work together, and try and close those gaps quite quickly. But it's nice to have the riders in the middle of the track. It's very difficult to do the recordings when they're on either the left or the right hand side, because of the growth of the trees. So Wendy's finished, which is fantastic, and she's done an incredible job on her own from the bottom of the climb. OTR Eureka just coming through, and I think for the highlight show they're in last place because all of the technical problems that they've had. It's incredible achievement what they've been doing. So they now finish. RTR just come through, and OTR Wicked have finished as well. So that's what I mean by trying to get those teams in sync at 4 times the speed. And we're having to start at different points on the circuit. So if you look at Dingo's, this is why we were saying Noel had a huge technical. He lost a connection and he went back to 1.4, 1.6 K. So that left just 2 riders. So who was that? So that left Ben and Ash together, and then Peter, who had dropped back again further earlier on, had to get back up to make that a 3. So the team have had to wait to a degree to allow Peter to get back on, and hopefully now they can finish and record a race result, because you need 3 as a minimum to finish to give you a race result. For Ultraviolet, it looks like Jonathan's been dropped, but he's going to come back in. Again, really, really, really strong rider. So there you go. And for Mushroom, Rajesh goes off on his own up the climb, leaving the rest of the team behind. As you can see, there's some huge gaps there. So 40 meters to JP, which is incredible in its own result. Then you got 7 meters back, you got Mikkel. Further back, you've got Wayne, DJ and Fred. So I think Rajesh has left everybody behind going up that climb, and really need to work as a team, guys. It is looking as though you got JP and Mikkel catching back on, which they have done. And I did record the audio for 3R Mushroom, but I didn't want to put it on, especially when you've got something running 4 times the speed. It sounds funny, lots of screaming, but you can't hear very much, so it's irrelevant really. So I've taken it off, and I think that's another problem with having to do this at 4 times the speed. As we lose that, it also makes, because the hill is the fundamental part of this race, we wanted to capture the entire hill and then still go to that 1k mark with the kite that was just coming up, and then go back to standard speed, and get those synced. So don't think it works, and we can't play the audio footage from the teams at the same time. So I think for next week we'll try and go back to what we had before. So JP's on the front with Mikkel and Rajesh. For blue, as I say, I got dropped at the base of the climb with Adam and Gordon. So you got Robin, Roger and Peter as a threesome just coming in. And again, thank you to Gordon for doing the recording for OTR Blue. And also thank you for Jonathan for doing the recording on OTR Ultraviolet as well. And to the guys at Dingoes, again, we wouldn't have this footage if you guys weren't doing the recording for us all. So looking at that, Dingoes, with having to wait, they lost a huge amount of time for Peter to get in. So they're 36.02, OTR Blue is 31.23, Ultraviolet is 31.06. Again, those issues with Jonathan, and 3R Mushroom, it's 29.32. So not bad. So ASRT are now overtaking Peddlers, and this is where you get Christoph trying to take out the team. But he does a fantastic job going up the climb. Again, it would be nice for the team to stay together, as you'll see shortly. But Christoph's in front with Daniel, John and Doug for Peddlers, and for ASRT you've got Roman Arnaud is there as well with Cyril and Jojo. Unfortunately we lost Vordi as well from that group, but looking at Roman, so Roman's gone off and the team are now trying to catch him, with Jojo now losing the wheel on the climb. But Jojo has done an incredible job for the team getting to where they are now, and looking at the pace, so roughly similar places, 23, 24 kph and 26, 28, 29 for ASRT, and you've got Christoph out front with Doug, John and Daniel, John and Doug. So they're all now caught up and they're back into that pace line. Roman's just coming back into the group, so he's going to go at the back there, so they're now back into their pace lines. And they're doing similar speed as well. So no one's been dropped. John out front with Christoph, Doug and Daniel. Arnoud is there with Cyril, Roman, and as I say, Jojo's been dropped. But an incredible effort from the team, or both teams. So now we're back under that 1 kilometre kite and back to normal pace. It looks funny, doesn't it? But trying to get that 4 times to 1 synchronized, very difficult to do when you've got different levels of performance in the different teams. So still Daniel, Christoph, Doug and John, and Christoph still having those technical issues with steering. And looking at the KPH, very similar as well. And it looks as though we have just lost John as well. As I say, John's riding with an injury. An incredible effort to get to where he's got to help the team out. So there you have it. So Peddlers were 29.27 and ASRT just beat them at 28.47. So really close racing, guys. Absolutely fantastic, really strong teams. And both are going to come into the finish line. So there we have it. So looking at Ultraviolet, they've gone up and Blue's gone down, so they've done a swap. Dingoes and Wicked have done a swap, so Dingoes then OTR Wicked, and RTR have done a swap with OTR Eureka because of all the issues with the Eureka this week. They've been incredible. So what I promised is that we would show the actual results. So in League 1 you've got ASRT, Peddlers, 3R Mushroom, OTR Black and Australia Sharks. League 2 Ultraviolet, Blue, West London, VR1, OTR Wicked, Australia Wombats and Pokemotion. And then League 3 North America, Quackers, Dingoes, Koalas, RTR and Eureka. Now it would be lovely to see if we can get RGT North America X-Force recording on our highlight show. So hopefully we can reach out to them and see if we can get that kind of footage through and see how they're getting on, because leading in Team 3 in League 3 is fantastic against the Quackers. And as I say, ASRT pipped the week with Peddlers, then Mushroom and Black. Then you've got our North American X-Force, Australia Sharks, Ultraviolet, OTR Blue, and then finishing off with Quackers until the rest of the team. So thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe and let me know what your thoughts are on the speed up of the footage and see, does it work for us? I'm not convinced, but let me know how you think. Thank you and take care.